So welcome back to the Tutoring Hub. Today we'll be talking about factorization. Hope that worked out. So if you're interested in
learning about this, then keep watching.
So there are different ways that we can factorize different expressions and so on. But the focus for today's video will be on factorizing by highest common factor. Let's take, for example, this expression a bracket b plus c. So we can simplify this expression by using the distributive property or expanding the brackets. And if you don't know how to do this, a video will be popping up in the top right corner. You can watch that to become knowledgeable about that. Positive a times positive b would give us positive ab, and positive a times positive c would give us positive ac. So that's our answer when we expand. So the reverse process is actually called factorization. Now, when we factorize with both terms AB and AC, we realize that it has a common factor, which is A. Now, if we take out that A, put it outside of the bracket, then we'll be left with B plus C, which is the original thing. In a nutshell, that is factorization. Now, to factorize, the first thing that we need to do is to take out the highest common factor and place it in front of the bracket. And the second thing is the expression inside of the bracket is obtained by dividing each term by the highest common factor. Now we're going to look at a few examples to have a better understanding of this concept. So here is our first example. So 5x plus 10. We're going to list the factors of 5x and also for 10. So a factor divides completely without leaving a remainder. Now, the factors of 5x, let's just think about it. What two factors could we multiply? What two numbers or terms could we multiply to give us 5x? Yes. So we know that if we multiply 1 times 5x, we get the 5x. But we could also multiply 5 times x to give us 5x. Therefore, we can say that the factors of 5x are 1, 5, x, and 5x. And we're going to do the same thing for 10. So we know that we can multiply 1 times 10 to give us 10. We can also multiply 2 times 5, right? So therefore, the factors of 10 would be 1, 2, 5, and 10. We can see that 5 is the highest common factor for both 5x and 10. Therefore, we're going to put that outside of the bracket. So put our 5 outside of the bracket and we'll put a bracket there. So we're going to divide the 5x by 5. So 5 into 5x will leave x, positive x, and 5 into positive 10 would give us a positive 2. Therefore, our answer would be 5 bracket x plus 2. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and list the factors again. So we have 2m minus 6. Let's start by listing the product of the prime factors for 2m. So what can we multiply together to give us 2m? So we can multiply 1 times 2m. We can also multiply 2 times m. Therefore, we can say that the factors of 2m are 1, 2, m, and 2m. And for 6, we can multiply 1 times 6. We can also multiply 2 times 3. Therefore, our factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. So the highest common factor would be 2. So our highest common factor would go outside of the bracket, and in the bracket we'll have the quotient. So we're going to divide each of these terms by 2. The 2 into 2m leaves with m, and 2 into negative 6 leaves us with negative 3. Therefore, when we factorize using the highest common factor, we get 2 bracket m minus 3. So here we have our third example. So we have 8x squared minus 20x. Now, not going to list out the factors, but can you tell me what would be the highest common factor for both of these terms? Now, in cases like these, where we see that we have, powers of both terms, it's not as easy as the first two questions. So how I normally do questions like this is that I split them up, right? So we're finding one highest common factor, but we focus on the coefficient first, then each variable. So let's look at the 8 and the 20. So what is the highest common factor of 8 and 20? So 4. So 4 is the highest common factor for the 8 and the 20. And for each variable, so for the first variable, we have a x squared. Oh no, x squared is the same thing as saying x times x. And we have an x, which is just 1x. So we see that only x, 1x is common to both variables. Therefore, it'll be just our x, which is x to the first power. So you have to use the highest power for each variable. So we have x squared and we have x to the first power. So the highest power would be x to the first power, or only 1x. So our highest common factor is 4x. And we know that in the bracket, we're just going to divide the highest common factor by each term. So how I normally do it is that I just divide the coefficient first and I do the variables. So 4 into 8 goes 2, and x into x squared. So we have an x squared, and we're dividing. So we know that Lorentz indices means that we're going to subtract the powers. So x squared divided by x is just saying x to square minus 1, which gives us x. So it's just 1x, or x to the first power. So we found the quotient for the first term. Now we're going to multiply 4 into negative 20, which gives us negative 5. And x into x goes 1, we don't have to write the 1. So therefore, our answer will be 4x bracket 2x minus 5. And if we multiply this through, we're going to get back our x squared, 8x squared minus 20. Let's try another question. Look at this question right here.
Never had been seeing this yet.
So it's the same concept as when we were doing two terms. So we identify the highest common factor. So again, we're going to focus on our coefficients first. We have 15, 9, and 12. So the highest common factor would be 3. Let's look at our x now. So we see that we have more than one variable. So we're doing it in parts. So we have x squared. We have our x to the first power. We can write that too. And we have our x squared. So the highest power that is common to all three terms will be x to the first power. I can't use x squared because our second term doesn't have a square. It is x, only have one x. It's x to the first power. Alright? So x to the first power would be our common factor for our x, and for our y, we said we have a y to the first power, we have a y to the first power and a y cube. We can't use y square or y cube, it has to be y because we need a power and we need a term that is common to all three. So y to the first power is common, therefore our highest common factor will be 3xy. It's one term, remember. So I do it in parts, but it is one term. Uno, one term. Alright, so now that we have the highest common factor, we can go ahead and work out the expression that would be in the bracket. So I'm doing it in parts. So 3 into 15 goes 5 times. X into x squared leaves us with only 1x. And y into y leaves us with 1. And we know that 1 times any term will give us the term itself. So we'll be left with 5x. We don't have to write the 1. 3 into negative 9 will give us negative 3. X into x goes 1. Y into y goes 1. So we're just left with negative 3. 3 into positive 12 goes positive 4. X into x squared gives us an x. Y into y cubed gives us y squared. Right? And for persons who did not see that, so we have y cubed being divided by y to the first power. So we subtract 1 from the 3 and leave us with y squared. Laws are indices. And I'm going to post just, you can look in the top right corner for a video about laws and indices if you are not familiar with that concept. So this is our final answer right there. And again, if we multiply the 3xy by each of these terms, we're going to get back our original expression. So that's it for this video. So we have completed 4 questions of factorizing by highest common factor. So stay tuned for part 2. We will be working some more questions. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section. Before you go, remember to like, share, and subscribe. So stay tuned for part 2.